Okay, what's up guys? Chillin' the Fact, Jordan Bain here, episode 12. Today we're talking about building your reputation. One I really love talking about. Now when I refer to reputation, of course, I'm going to throw in there things like building authority, building credibility, building trust. All of those things are really important as an agent, okay? So I'm going to encompass all of those things in one hit and obviously try and encompass them all around building your reputation. Now, before I get too deep into it, it's really important for me to mention that obviously for the skeptics out there, there is no better way to build your reputation, of course, than to get more signboards or more listings and whatever else, right? If you control the market, if you have the most amount of market share in your area and ultimately have plenty of testimonials and reviews and whatever else to back that up, absolutely, there's no denying that that is the best way to build your reputation, right? But what I want to use this time to talk about is for new agents, right? So if you're a brand new agent or even in your first 12, 18, 24 months, and you really want to try and focus on building your reputation as much as you can without necessarily having the signboards and ads on realestate.com and whatever else behind you yet. So I'm going to basically just run through a few quick strategies that you can use and just to open your mind to a whole different level of thinking, and a level of thinking that most people don't think about, okay? Now, one big thing that I talk about on a regular basis is leveraging your reputation, creating more authority, building more credibility, right? With our lead generation strategies, personally, I hate the term lead gen, and I'm sure many of you have probably heard me say that before. I hate the term lead generation. The reason being, lead generation is garbage, okay? Leads are a byproduct. Now, sorry, leads, anyone can get you leads, right? Lead generation is somewhat easy as long as you have the right dialogue or the right systems, the right strategies in place. But as an agent, do you want more leads or do you want more opportunities? Do you want more appraisals or do you want more qualified listing appointments, right? Ultimately, we know the answer to that already. So when it comes to building your reputation, of course, as I said before, I don't know where I was going with that for a second, so I kind of went on a bit of a detour, but ultimately, yes, without a doubt, for the skeptics out there, the best way to build your reputation is to get more signboards, get more market share, get more ads online, okay? More properties online. And of course, more reviews and more testimonials will come as a byproduct of that, and your reputation increases. But for those who already have a strong level of market share and want to increase their reputation quickly, or if you're a brand new agent or someone in their first sort of 24 months and want a quick fire strategy that's going to get your reputation and awareness out there quickly, that is what I'm going to discuss with you today, okay? Very long intro, I apologize, bear with me. There'll be a lot of value by the time we're finished, okay? So I really want to highlight to begin with that reputation comes with trust, okay? So it's not so much the reputation being the end goal. The end goal is building trust, right? Because if people trust you, then they want to work with you, right? Now, the big thing here, of course, before even getting to trust, is all about awareness. If people don't know you exist, you're not going to get more business on your reputation. But more importantly, if people know you exist but don't trust you, well, then you're screwed, right? So the big thing, the end goal needs to be when you're focusing on your reputation, you need to focus on people trusting you, right? The more trust you have, the more reputation you have, the more credibility you have, the more authority you have, everything else that goes with it, right? So trust is the end goal. Trust is what you've got to create. Now, with trust, the only way to build trust is through frequency, okay? So if I was to flick it around and start talking about on in a traditional sense, let's say, for example, you pick up the phone and you make 30 cold calls, right? The chances of you getting a listing off the back of 30 cold calls, we all know, is going to be pretty slim. Now, the reason that is, of course, is because those people just don't know you, don't trust you, and of course you're probably interrupting their day. Whereas if you made 30 calls to your database, people who know you, trust you, warm contacts, the chances of getting a listing become far greater, right? Why? Because those people know you and trust you. You've created credibility, authority, but more importantly, reputation with those individuals, right? So forget about the reputation for a second. Focus on building trust. How do you build trust? Frequency. Frequency builds trust. If there's one thing you can tattoo into your memory, frequency builds trust. And again, from a cold calling perspective, if you're cold calling, you're not trying to find listings necessarily. You're trying to build relationships, to build touch points with individuals, to hopefully get an opportunity to present to them at some point down the track, right? So you're building touch points. Now, from a letterbox perspective, for example, talking about traditional marketing strategies and prospecting strategies now, if you were to try and build your reputation, build your authority, build your credibility in your farm area using letterbox drops, you probably need to do letterbox drops every single day. Now, of course, in today's property climate, that just isn't feasible, mainly because number one, it's going to cost you an absolute mortgage in printing costs if you were to do letterbox drops every single day. And when I mean letterbox drops, I'm referring to your face, your name, your brand, your image, right? I don't mean listings and sales so much. But if you were to do, say, if you were to do 3,000 letterbox drops every single day, eventually, whether it's 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, your reputation will eventually increase. Your awareness will eventually increase. Your credibility eventually increases, which all in all will eventually increase your trust in the marketplace, right? So the frequency of those letterbox drops day in, day out will eventually build enough credibility and trust. But it's the frequency, right? It's the regular touch points is what creates that credibility, okay? Now, of course, as I said before, letterbox drops, 3,000 letterbox drops every single day in today's, property climate isn't feasible whatsoever. So it just isn't going to happen. So what I want to talk about is using new age strategies to accelerate your frequency, to accelerate your touch points, which will in turn accelerate your credibility, accelerate your authority, accelerate your reputation, and of course, accelerate your trust, okay? Frequency builds trust. I spoke about it last week in terms of using the traditional letterbox opposed to the digital letterbox, right? The newsfeed. And of course, the traditional letterbox, very crowded space, very, very competitive, right? Obviously from real estate agents and other businesses. The newsfeed, not so competitive as much as many of you might think that your competitors are active on social media. They might be active, but what they're doing isn't very smart or very good or very precise. They're probably just wasting money and not hitting the right audience. So it's actually a very isolated space for you to start building your reputation, to start building some trust and authority and credibility and whatever else. So if you, rather than looking at doing 3,000 letterbox drops a day or 80 cold calls a day, I'm not saying don't do those things. They certainly help, but they're slow, right? They take time. They usually take 12, 18, 24 months to really build enough reputation to begin the momentum. What I want to talk about is using the news feed or the digital letterbox as a place to build that frequency, as a place to build that reputation, as a place to create an authority figure for your personal brand in the market that you're working, okay? So again, focus on frequency. Frequency builds trust, and I'll keep banging on about it, right? And you're probably going crazy, but frequency builds trust, okay? If you've got trust, you'll create credibility, you'll create authority, you'll create reputation, right? Reputation is a byproduct of people who know you, but people who trust you, okay? So you need to get people to know who you are first. They need to know you exist, but then they need to trust you, okay? So obviously by trusting people, obviously frequency builds trust, but obviously try and deliver some value at the same time. Anyway, hopefully that helps. Building reputation, focus on frequency, focus on building trust, credibility, authority. I'll stop going on about it. Anyway, see you soon, guys.